have with us tonight Bernice Watson. She's the co-author of On the Duarte. We are trying to talk her into doing another edition, which we would love to have. And I've asked her to say a few words since she probably knows more about Duarte history than most of us. Bernice, are you here? There she is.
Good evening to all of you. I thought I'd like to just tell you how On the Duarte came to be. In the spring of 1975, I was working for the Duarte Unified School District as a publications technician. That was sort of like a PR person that did the publications, did the newspaper articles and whatever you needed to do to promote the school district, and also to get information from the community and make sure that the school district was meeting the needs of the community. Well, I thought that was the job. It was a part-time job. As you know, there's no such thing as a part-time job. Once you get it, they all turn out to be full-time jobs. Well, I started getting a lot of calls from teachers, and they would ask me if I could get them information, if I could get them history on Duarte or history about the ranchos or whatever. And I would do the research and call my contacts, and I would go back, and a few days later I'd get more calls. And it was like a great part of my duty I was spending getting this information and gathering it from people. And I knew that some of the people that I was gathering the information from were moving away, and they were losing interest and, you know, whatever. So I decided, I thought about it that spring, and I thought, you know, what I need to do, because I'm not going to forever be in Duarte for the school district, I maybe need to think about writing a book. And at the time, I didn't know whether I was going to write it alone or with help or anything. I just knew that I could no longer field all the, you know, the work and then do all the research that was being required of me. So I sat down and I made a list of things that had to be done in case I decided to write this book. And on that list, it was items like you had to do the research, you had to go to the newspaper, all the city halls, all the things that you do as a researcher. Interview people, get the oral history, get the written history. Then I had to find a person to edit it. I needed a person to illustrate it. And we found, of course, a nice young illustrator whose mom worked for the school district. And she would always brag about this young man and how good he was at art. And so when we decided to write the book, we interviewed him. And he was 18 years old. And he brought his stuff over to Aloysia and I, and it was actually pretty good. And so I said to him, I said, you know, if we write this book, and I think we might, we'll offer you the same pay that we're going to get. And that's nothing. I said, but you will have something for your portfolio. And he said, I would love to do it. And that's how we came to get this young man who did the illustrations. And later on, when he went to college, he took that portfolio to Avery Labels and got a job. They were so impressed with the work that he did on the book that he got a job working for them. So other things I wrote down was, you know, of course, I mentioned, you know, getting an editor and finding a publisher, and money. We had no clue as to who was going to publish it, how we were going to do it. I just knew that it needed to be done. And after Aloysia, I talked her into working with me, and she got pretty excited about it. Everything else fell into place. But on that list that I made out, I had written a little note. And the note, it was kind of sort of like a wish list. The note said, it would be nice to interview a direct descendant of Andres Duarte. Now, I had a feeling that descendants were still around. And so when Aloysia and I started doing this, we found Vicki. And we were so excited to be able to interview her. And I won't go into any of the details because Steve has already filled you in on that. But one of the things that I remember the most is that she was so excited about the fact that we would even think of writing a book and try to do it because we had no money or anything like that, that she kept saying, oh, that's so wonderful. Oh, you can do it. That's so great. And of course, looking back, we hit some really tight spots because this was before computers. Everything had to be done on the typewriter. With a typewriter, if you mess up a page, you have to retype it. Nowadays, you press the delete button and everything swishes in and it's no problem. But then it was rough. And of course, we had help from the city who did a lot of the work too, but you know, the copies we had to handwrite, the work, the typesetting was done by hand with the hand-pressed letters. It was just really, you know, kind of a homemade deal. But anyway, we persevered. And when times got tough, I would look back and I would think of two things that kept me going. And it was the fact that the students at Duarte needed something. They needed something that told them about their history, which they didn't have in a you know, organized way. And then I would remember what Vicki was saying. You can do it. You guys can do it. I think that's such a wonderful idea. And I would think, okay, we can do this. And of course, the rest is history. And the way the title came about, we had no clue what we were going to name it. We just thought maybe it would be a brief history of Duarte. But as we were writing, as we talked to the people who'd lived here a long time or who knew people, they would always say, you know, I'm not sure whether that was on the Duarte or on the Dalton. And that was the two ranchos that were close together. And Aloysia and I both looked at each other about the 10th time someone said that, and we said, that's the name. That's the book. We're going to call it On the Duarte, which differentiated between the Azusa de Duarte and the Rancho de Duarte. So anyway, that's how it came, and thank you. I never had a chance to thank you publicly for encouraging us, and I didn't even know that you knew that you were encouraging us. But that's how it came about. Thank you.